But I will always be grateful to Three Idiots and Munna Bhai, and Lagero Munna Bhai also.
Yes.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
You are watching the world 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. An action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. As law enforcement and National Guard troops deployed by Donald Trump clash with protesters in LA, Gavin Newsom, the California governor, has compared the U.S. president's actions to those of a dictator. U.S. President Donald Trump's latest travel ban impacting 19 countries is expected to go into effect at midnight Eastern Time on Monday. Chinese and U.S. officials meet for trade talks today that will likely center around export controls and not tariffs. Activists claim that Israeli troops have boarded a ship trying to bring humanitarian aid to Gaza, as per reports. And the French Open final between Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner.
Just amazing support you've done.
Well, a big focus. Protests have flared up again in LA as demonstrators against immigration raids face off with law enforcement for a third day. Dramatic visuals coming in from the United States. Law enforcement officers have fired tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters. Reports state that some of those protesting have ignited vehicles in downtown Los Angeles as well. And U.S. President Donald Trump, he has deployed 2,000 National Guard troops to the Los Angeles area following these protests against immigration raids targeting global businesses. Now, the move has marked an intensification of Trump's immigration crackdown. Past National Guard deployments to California have happened amid widespread civil unrest and at the request of the state's governor. Not isolated protests that saw clashes with police, though. Democrats, meanwhile, are criticizing the U.S. president's order, with California's governor saying administration officials want a spectacle. Others, meanwhile, call for discipline. In fact, some state that protesters should take the authoritarian threat seriously and exert maximum self-control. But this deployment that you see, the visuals coming in on the left side of your screens and the right side, many analysts argue signals to other cities that retribution awaits those who would stand between immigrants and the administration's deportation machine. Well, asked if he planned to send U.S. troops to LA further, Trump replied, "We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Joe Biden." But he didn't elaborate. Listen in.
California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
Deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation, but we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy. I want the people of Los Angeles to know that we stand with all Angelenos, no matter where you were born.
You for what you are, a terrorist organization. I'm paramount. You are not welcome here.
In a rare and controversial move, U.S. President Donald Trump has deployed 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles. The mission, stamp out unrest triggered by sweeping immigration raids. And now, what began as enforcement has ignited a political firestorm. Typically, National Guard troops are deployed at the request of a governor, but in a stunning power play, Trump bypassed state leadership, invoking a rarely used provision of the Insurrection Act to take control himself. The federal crackdown on undocumented migrants has ignited widespread protests. Tensions have boiled over, with violent clashes and mounting outrage over the use of military force. All this as over 100 people have been arrested after ICE agents raided several businesses in search of undocumented workers. In the Latino majority Paramount District, residents confronted Border Patrol agents. Officers responded with tear gas as streets filled with smoke and fires erupted. Shrubs and debris set alight. The protests spiraled out of control as Trump ordered the deployment of California National Guard troops to contain the unrest. Earlier, the U.S. president lashed out at California's Democratic leaders, branding Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass as incompetent for their alleged mishandling of the violent riots. He also announced new rules banning protesters from wearing masks, escalating an already volatile situation. Governor Newsom fired back, calling the move purposely inflammatory, warning it would further erode public trust and inflame tensions already running high. Trump's latest actions mark a dramatic escalation in his broader crackdown on immigration, blurring the line between law enforcement and military intervention. As troops patrol city streets, the question now remains, just how far is the Trump administration willing to go? Samia Afsar, NDTV World.
And for further clarity on the matter, joining us on NDTV at the moment, Nee Quarterly-Quartai, White House correspondent for KBLA, live from Washington, D.C. We also have with us senior journalist Matt Klink. Thank you so much, Mr. Klink, for making time for us. What exactly are these National Guard troops doing in LA at the moment? Are they simply supporting ICE, or are they inching closer to policing protesters?
Well, right now they're just guarding federal buildings. They're just doing that. But, you know, look, from the scenes that most of the images that you have shown today are images of Los Angeles County Sheriff and Los Angeles Police Department officers. They have lost control to a large part. And look, that because Karen Bass is weak and because Gavin Newsom is weak, and they basically say that if you're in this country illegally, no problem, just keep staying here. And Donald Trump was elected to enforce immigration policies that return people who are in this country illegally to their country of origin. They showed pictures earlier on the local television of 5 of the criminals that they arrested. There was a murderer, there was a rapist, there was a person convicted of sexual assault. These are not salt of the earth, just normal people hanging out. The problem is that in California, and in particular in Los Angeles, they have allowed unfettered illegal immigration for multiple decades. And even the mere attempt to enforce the law, it freaks all of these people out. And they are violent, they are destroying the city. And because Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom refused to take action, Donald Trump federalized U.S. troops, the National Guard, and put them in place. There are only 2,000 of them there. And look, they're not inflaming anything, but the LAPD and the LAS Sheriff's Department have lost control.
Right. In fact, Dr. Korte is also with us for a quick comment. We're currently seeing and hearing about vehicles being torched, rubber bullets, tear gas being fired. Many say Trump is actually using these immigration protests to provoke a political showdown with blue states at the moment. But take us through what you're hearing and picking up from the ground. What's the mood in the Pentagon? Are military leaders aligned with this move, or are there quiet reservations like in 2020?
Well, I can't speak to the military and their reservations, but I can speak to the LA County Sheriff. This morning, I had a chance to interview Sheriff Robert Luna right after a briefing that he had on public safety. And they were caught off guard with the actions of President Trump federalizing the National Guard in Los Angeles. And by the way, it was not at the request of the mayor. It was not at the request of the governor.
Yes.
President Trump took it upon himself to create a situation that would provoke. And listen, you know, LA City and the state of California, we are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary state, which means that, you know, we don't coordinate, you know, with federal authorities in terms of, you know, deporting people out of our country without any sort of justification. We're not talking about criminals that they're going after. They're going after everyday people.
Right.
You know, there were reports of ICE agents at elementary schools, at elementary school graduation. There were reports of ICE agents, you know, taking a 9-year-old into custody. That's not who the people of Los Angeles are. That's not who the people of California are. And that's why you're seeing these protests in the streets. You know, people are challenging this political stunt by the president. And let me just add the issue of due process. You know, a big part of why folks have been organizing in the city and county of Los Angeles and across this country in opposition to the president's actions have been because where is the due process? You know, the president cannot be judge and jury. That's why we have a constitution that is not being followed.
In fact, the governor has also said this is an abuse of power, likening what Trump is doing to that of a dictator. But whether this is about actual enforcement of the law and order, whether it's about protest control or immigration optics, well, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Thank you so much, gentlemen, those for joining us with your views. We will, of course, keep in touch with you for regular updates on what's happening in LA and across the US. Meanwhile, in staying with updates from the United States, Donald Trump's order banning citizens of 12 countries from entering the United States, that goes into effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, a move the president says will protect their country from foreign terrorists. The countries affected by the latest travel ban, as we've covered, are Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Meanwhile, the entry of people from 7 other countries, including Cuba and Venezuela, will be partially restricted. This travel ban actually forms part of Trump's policy to restrict immigration into the US and is reminiscent of a similar move, if you remember, in his first term when he barred travelers from 7 Muslim-majority nations. Meanwhile, Chinese and US officials meet for trade talks today that will likely center around export controls and not tariffs. Following the détente in the superpowers' trade war earlier this year, focus has shifted from high import duties to export restrictions on goods like semiconductors as well as rare earths. You see, analysts actually believe Washington will use the London meeting to push Beijing to speed up sales of minerals and other crucial components for manufacturing, while China is expected to argue for easing tech sales curbs, including on artificial intelligence chips. Chinese state media, though, struck a cautious note, saying that there is an important opportunity for relations to return to the right track, but the true test for the US lies ahead. Moving on, activists say Israeli troops have boarded a yacht trying to bring humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. In fact, the campaign group through Telegram has said that connection has been lost on the Freedom Flotilla coalition. It posted a photo showing people in life jackets sitting with their hands up. That report could not be independently verified. In fact, we are, of course, waiting to verify that with our sources. Climate activist Greta Thunberg is among those aboard the vessel, which is believed to be off the Egyptian coast as we speak. Stepping into a quick break for now. The latest updates are lined up for you in a moment. Do stay tuned.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. In what was probably one of the greatest French Open finals, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Jannik Sinner to lift his second Roland Garros title. In other crucial news, a top US-based expert on China has warned of something worse than COVID if the United States is not careful, days after two Chinese scientists were charged with allegedly smuggling a toxic fungus into the United States. Yunqing Jian, who's 33 years old, and her boyfriend, who's 34, allegedly conspired to smuggle into the US a fungus that causes head blight, which is a disease of wheat, barley, maize and rice. But the US Justice Department has said that the fungus is classified in scientific literature as a potential agro-terrorism weapon. Listen to what Gordon Chang had to say.
This couple should be sent to Guantanamo. This was an attack on the United States. The Chinese regime has declared a quote-unquote people's war on us. People's Daily, the most authoritative publication in China, in May 2019 carried a landmark editorial that declared a people's war on us. We're Americans, so we think we're entitled to ignore the propaganda of hostile regimes. But for a communist party, that phrase has great resonance. And what they're doing with their strident anti-Americanism is creating a justification to strike our country. This means that couple, for instance, should be sent to Guantanamo. This was an attack on the United States at a time when China thought it's at war with us. We Americans think we're at peace, but China knows it's at war. Xi Jinping talks about going to war all the time, and he's mobilizing all of Chinese society to go to war. So we can lose our country, even though we're the far stronger nation, because we're not defending ourselves with the vigor and the determination that is necessary. This is part of a broader campaign, and we have to treat it with the utmost urgency. We've got to put this into context. In 2020, Americans in all 50 states received from China seeds that were unsolicited. I think that was an attempt to plant invasive species into the US. And then this year, Temu, the online Chinese retailer, sent seeds to Americans unsolicited. The only way to stop this is to sever relations with China. And I know people think that's drastic, but we are being overwhelmed. And eventually, we are going to get hit. We're going to get hit really hard.
And with that, let's turn our attention now to Spain, where tens of thousands of people have gathered in central Madrid to protest against the government of Spain's socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and to demand an early general election as his party, his administration and his family continue to be beset by a succession of corruption allegations. Sunday's protest, called by the opposition Conservative People's Party under the slogan Mafia or Democracy, that attracted about 45,000 to 50,000 people in central Madrid. And with that, let's turn our attention to Colombia now, where Senator Miguel Turbe, a potential candidate in next year's presidential election, has successfully undergone an initial surgery after being shot and wounded in the capital, according to its mayor. The party has released a statement calling the shooting an unacceptable act of violence, and the government has said that it is offering $730,000 as a reward for information in this particular case. Switching tracks, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla is set to embark on the Axiom 4 mission to the International Space Station. This marks India's return to space after 41 years, and Shukla, a combat pilot with 15 years of experience, has been selected for this prestigious mission. Just take a look at what went on behind the scenes as far as the Axiom 4 mission is concerned.
From the Indian Space Research Organization, AX-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla.
Namaste. I'm Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla.
A fighter pilot for 15 years, he was selected as one of 4 Indian astronauts in 2020.
Captain Shukla, are you ready for the ride? Will you do some yoga in space like your idol Rakesh Sharma did in 1984?
The first Indian astronaut, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, traveled to space in 1984. I grew up reading about him in textbooks and listening to his stories from space. I was deeply, deeply impressed by him. This journey that I'm on, it has been a long one for me. And it started out somewhere. I didn't know that this is the path it is going to finally take. I would say that I've been extremely fortunate and extremely lucky to have gotten the opportunities to first fly all my life, which was a dream job for me, and then have the opportunity to apply to astronaut corps, and now consequently be here. The way this worked out for me was that probably a week before we arrived at Axiom was the time I came to know that I would be going. I was extremely excited to be here. I was very, very happy because this was a possibility for me to actually fly to space. You don't know how to respond to such things.
Shooks his wisdom. The knowledge that he possesses, he could be 130 years old.
For me, having him as my pilot in the Dragon capsule is great. He already has that operational savvy. You know, he's just wicked smart when it comes to spacecraft technologies.
He is very focused and he will basically go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a record time. I don't even know how he gets there so fast.
The team that I'm flying with on this mission, it is fantastic. I do feel that, I have exceptional crewmates. I will have these crew members for this one flight, but post this mission, these are going to be my friends for life.
It has been an amazing journey. These are moments that really tell you that you are getting to be a part of something that is much larger than yourself. I can only say how extremely fortunate I am to be a part of this.
It is my sincere endeavor through my mission to inspire an entire generation back home in the country. I want to use this opportunity to ignite curiosity among kids. Even if this story, my story, is able to change one life, it would be a huge success for me. I am Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, and I am the mission pilot for Axiom 4 mission.
And with that, let's turn our attention to what's happening at the moment as far as the Vizhinjam port is concerned. The MSC Irani, the world's largest container ship, is actually docking at the Adani Group's Vizhinjam International Seaport. It's going to be staying until Tuesday. This is quite significant because this visit is its first to a South Asian port, showcasing Vizhinjam's ability to handle ultra-large container vessels like the one you're seeing on your screens at the moment. As I mentioned, the port is managed by Adani Ports and SEZ Limited. It has recently hosted other significant vessels too. And do note that the seaport was inaugurated just on the 2nd of May by our Prime Minister. Uma Sudhir has been tracking the finer developments for us. She joins us over the phone line as the world's largest container is set to dock at the Adani Group's Vizhinjam International Seaport. Uma, take us through why this is so significant.
So Vizhinjam port has been designed as something that will really give India a big advantage in the global maritime scene in terms of the location, the kind of a proximity it has to different very important sea routes. And this particularly MSC Irani is something that has a huge capacity, actually one of the biggest capacities, 24,346 TEUs as they are called. That's a measurement that is used for talking about the capacity of the container ships, and this is 20-foot equivalent unit is the TEU, and this is almost 25,000 TEUs, which makes it the biggest to dock at Adani's port of Vizhinjam. And this was something that is dedicated to the nation, of course, on May 2nd by the Prime Minister, and something that both the state of Kerala as well as the centre are taking huge pride in. And this is almost 400 meters in width, in length, and about 61 meters, a little over 61 meters in width. And therefore, to put it in another way, they say it's 4 times longer than a standard FIFA designated football field. So this marks the beginning of what could be a huge boost for India in terms of being able to become a major player in global maritime trade. Back to you.
Uma, as always, thanks so much for joining us with that quick, crucial update. Well, designed to transport large volumes of containers between Asia and Europe, the MSC Irani, with what you see on your screens at the moment, it enhances trade routes and logistics efficiency. And the seaport is a flagship project of the Kerala government. You must note it was constructed in a landlord model as well, based on design, the build, finances, and an operation. Thanks so much for investing your time and watching. News and updates continue in a moment. Do stay tuned.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
In 2003 is when Munna Bhai MBBS happens to you.
Right.
Dr. Asthana. And then in 2009 is when you become virus in Three Idiots. and then you make a directorial venture through Mehta Boys.
Right.
It has been quite a journey.
Yes.
But these two characters were particularly those which are seen as iconic. Would you say that they reshaped your entire, acting career?
You're absolutely right. People identify me with these two characters. I have had a learning curve through a lot of other characters too, but yes, there's no denial that these two, and if I might be allowed to put in one more, was Khosla Ghosla Khurana. Because, and you're all from Delhi, right? And I was cast for that role and I was very hesitant. I went to Delhi to do some research on the character and I met a young actor over there, not young in my eyes, who said, I'm a little upset with you. I said, why? He said, I auditioned for this role. And of course, you didn't get it. So, but why are you upset with me? Tell the casting director or the director.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vatva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including in the murder that took place in Shillong. This was a honeymoon couple that had gone from Indore to Shillong. The wife seems to be involved in that murder because she has been taken into custody by the police, including 3 other people who have been arrested in the case. We'll get you as far as Bengaluru is concerned. Siddaramaiah saying he only went there because he was invited and not that he had anything to do with organizing the event. We'll get you all the details of that, plus as well LA riots in which 300 National Guards have been deployed by Donald Trump, who has gone on to say that the governor of LA was incapable of handling the protests and was not capable of stopping the protests, which is why he had to step in. We'll get you all the details. First, the headlines. Let's get you the latest as far as the immigration riots that are taking place in LA. The 300 National Guards have been deployed in Los Angeles. This is amid immigration raids. Trump claims he was forced to step in because Gavin Newsom, the Democrat governor, was incapable of stopping the protests. Kamala Harris claims that the move by the administration is suggesting not public safety, it's stoking fear. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah passes the buck, says that the state government did not organize the RCB event, alleging that the secretary of the Karnataka State Cricket Association invited him and that he came to know of the stampede only 2 hours later at 5:45 in the evening. A major breakthrough when it comes to the Meghalaya case. Now it is 4 people who have been arrested, including the wife, for the murder of Raja Raghuvanshi, who was there on his honeymoon in Shillong. The wife, who was missing, Sonam, has been arrested. She seems to be having a link to the murder of her husband. Now, the Election Commission says that it will only respond to leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, if Rahul Gandhi writes to the Election Commission directly. Now, Chirag Paswan has also hit out at Congress leader Rahul Gandhi that he has already accepted defeat in Bihar. These statements come right after Devendra Fadnavis has gone on to say that Rahul Gandhi was rejected by the people. Now he's gone ahead and rejected the people's mandate. And the countdown has begun. We're talking about under 35 hours. This is absolutely the final countdown to Shubhanshu taking off for space. Let's get you our top story, and this is in regard to the docking that is taking place. A maritime milestone with this is the Vizhinjam port, the world's largest ship has now going to be docking there. This is the maiden visit to the South Asian port, the Kerala maritime milestone that we're talking about, with the port launched in May by the Prime Minister. This is the Irani port that scripts history. We're talking about the Vizhinjam port, the As you can see, the docking is going to be taking place today. This is the largest container ship by capacity that is set to dock at the Adani Group's Vizhinjam International Seaport, and then will continue its journey on Tuesday. Uma Sudhir joining us to get us the very details. Uma, docking taking place. We can see visuals on our screens at the moment. Take us through what all is expected and what are the procedures involved. I mean, of course, this is maritime history that is being created.
Absolutely. So earlier we had, vessels like MSC Turkey and MSC Capellini, which were also huge vessels, huge container vessels. But why this is special is because this is the first one that's happening after the Adani port was dedicated to the nation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 2nd of May. And this happens to be, in fact, the world's biggest container vessel that you can talk about, because in terms of the capacity, we talk about TEUs as the unit, which is 20-foot equivalent unit, and this has the capacity of 24,346 TEUs, which makes it bigger than the so far biggest, what is called an ultra-large container vessel. This is bigger than the biggest that we have known so far, which is the OCL Spain, and it is by a margin of 150 TEUs. As you know, Adani Port at Vizhinjam is already in a very, very prime location, very close to the, international, very critical international routes as well, and therefore, this is expected to take India to the next stage of leadership in terms of maritime trade and logistics, and therefore, docking of the biggest such ship at Vizhinjam port is something that shows the capacity of the port also to handle these ultra-large container vessels, which was a big thing that was missing in the Indian maritime kind of repertoire, should I say. And this has a length of almost 400 meters and a width of about a little over 61 meters, which means that the standard size, as they say, is 4 times, FIFA designated football field. That's what we're talking about. So that much, that is the size of the ship, and that is something that India can be very, very proud of, that it is a major milestone for shipping in India. Back to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Uma, for getting us all those details. All eyes on the docking taking place there. Of course, a maritime milestone being marked as the maiden visit to the South Asian port. Let's just get you breaking news coming in regard to the Meghalaya case, in which 4 people now have been arrested, and this really does include the wife of the deceased. We're talking about Raja Raghuvanshi, who was there on his honeymoon. He had gone from Indore with his wife Sonam to Shillong for his honeymoon. Do remember that the woman was missing. In fact, the couple was missing, and then the body of the man was recovered. The body was found in a gorge, and the wife's family had tipped off the police, saying that she had been abducted and that she had in fact not been killed, but she was abducted. Now the woman has been arrested. She's been arrested in the case linked to the murder of her husband. We have Ratnadeep Chaudhary joining us to get us the very latest. Ratnadeep, after the search that has continued with the family, in fact, demanding a CBI probe into the matter, the Chief Minister also of Indore asking for a CBI probe into the death of the man. Now we are coming to know that, the police has taken in the wife who had been missing all this while.
That's right. This is a major breakthrough that has come in the case of this sensational mystery of the Indore couple who first went missing on May 23rd when they came for honeymoon in East Khasi Hills region of Meghalaya, and then on June 2nd the body of Raja Raghuvanshi was found, but Sonam Raghuvanshi was missing. But now what we have picked up from our sources in Meghalaya police is that Sonam Raghuvanshi has surrendered. That's what the sources are telling us. She first surrendered to police in UP in Gazipur, and Meghalaya STF, Meghalaya Special Investigation Team, which was investigating this case, they have been sharing information over this case with Madhya Pradesh police as well as police in other states, and with their help 3 other assailants have been also arrested, 2 from Indore itself, the hometown of the Raghuvanshis, and another one from Uttar Pradesh. That's what we have been told. Now what it seems in from the information that we are picking up from Meghalaya SIT, that it seems that these assailants were actually hired by Sonam Raghuvanshi herself for this sensational murder case. Remember when on June 2nd, the body was recovered from a deep gorge, body of Raja Raghuvangshi. After that, the next day, Meghalaya police came on record to say